I'm gonna show you guys how to cut the top properly, the easy way. He wears his hair all the way back just like this. So the first thing I'm gonna do, just as a rule of thumb, I'll do this pretty much with everybody's hair. I'm gonna pull this hair forward that's in the bang section. I don't really have to do that here, but it's just good practice. I don't wanna cut the bangs until I know exactly how I want them cut. Now we're gonna make that mohawk section. If you guys haven't seen that little short that I released, just showing you guys exactly what I'm doing with my head. I actually have a head here. I'll show you guys real quick. This is what we're doing. We have our mohawk section. That's what we're gonna cut our guide into. And then we're gonna step just off of the guide little by little as we go. There's my mohawk section. That's gonna determine how much I'm gonna take off for the rest of the cut. He told me he wants it a little bit shorter than I did last time, so I'm gonna take off about an inch right there. Now with hair that's curly, you don't have to texturize it or anything yet. I'd rather save that to the end and make sure that I got all this hair cut the way that I want. And then as I get into the colic here, I'm gonna just follow my guide 90 degrees. 90 degrees just means straight out from the head from where it grows. These orange gloves can really show you that. So I have a perfect guide section. So now I'll spin him this way. And what you're gonna see is right here, I have my guide. I'm just picking up that first little section off of my guide. Section bigger than the width of your comb. And I'm gonna move my way back alongside of my guideline just the way I showed you guys in that short. This is increasing the width of my guide, and it's gonna serve as a bigger guide to go around the rest of the head. I'm gonna be doing a mid-skin fade on his hair, but I decided that I wanted to address the top so I know exactly what I'm gonna fade into. Now I'm going off to the right side of my guide. I'm not gonna work down the side of the head until I have both sides of this guide fixed up. Pick up my pace a little bit. And you'll notice that I have a really good guide that goes straight across. You can pick up a couple sections here, straight across each side. So now I have a big wide guide and I can continue working my guide down the sides. I just slide it till my fingers disappear. And then also you can see a little bit of the section that I just previously cut. So you get both a traveling guideline and a stationary guideline. This is the most accurate and simplest way to cut. It's got me by for 20 years, and I've seen people just overcomplicating how to cut the top, and I just wanted to share this with you guys. People tend to really overcomplicate this. This isn't that complicated. It's actually very simple to do this. Now, if I've cut horizontally this way, I'm gonna cross-check vertically in a second once I finish off this last section. So you don't actually have to go in there and section the whole thing out like you've seen in the mannequin. Just that. So before I do that final cross check, I'm going to show you guys, if he was a client that wore bangs, I would just cut this hair to whatever length I want. He doesn't, so it really doesn't make a difference, but I'm just going to cut this hair as an example just to show you. So now let's just say, I know the bangs ain't exactly 100% perfect, but let's just say I have the bang length that I want. I need to blend it into the interior length. So if I turn him this way, you'll see how I do this easily. I'll comb this up. And now my goal would be to not cut the hair that's in the very, very front. This is the bangs that we just cut, okay? And then this is my interior length. So what you're basically gonna see is a little point right here. There's my guide, there's my point. I would never wanna recut somebody's bangs here because I've already addressed the length of the bang that I wanted. Sometimes that might mean that I tip my comb out this way. Sometimes it might be perfectly straight. Sometimes you might pick it up and the bangs might be so short that they're not part of the interior length. That's fine. But this is how you blend them in together. So now that I've got my bangs blended in, we're gonna just do a quick vertical cross check and I'll get into the haircut. This is a perfect time to add a little bit of texture if you want. If you see something that's a little bit out of whack, it's nice to fix it with a little bit of texture. Or just add it in there as you're picking up your sections because you're doing it anyways. Like just because I'm cross-checking doesn't mean that I can't do something else. I typically like to add texture on somebody's hair that flows back. I like to add texture facing the shears this way rather than this way. This way is gonna help it flow backwards. Another way to do the same thing to help somebody's hair flow backwards would be to pick it up in the section, pull it back, and cut it a little bit. That can help it flow back when it dries and give you that nice look that you want. Okay, you guys, I got a 6 on here. I'm just trying to be careful and get rid of some of this bulk so I can actually see what's going on underneath. This will allow me to go up a little bit higher and knock out some of that hair. I don't really care about the hair underneath, but my goal in this haircut is to really preserve some of this weight in this bridal ridge area so it can stay dark. It'd be awfully hard to put a skin line in length this long. So as just a follow-up step, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a number 2. I'm not really too concerned about doing any type of blending right now. I'm just gonna take the number 2 and I'm gonna knock out some of the area where I wanna put my skin line in. I don't really care what that looks like above that, as I'm gonna get into those sections and work them out anyways. I just need to create an area where I can put a skin line in accurately. I'm gonna take a pair of trimmers and I'm gonna stamp in the guideline. I'm gonna curve it. I want to curve it up and then back down. If I curve the guideline, it can then disperse into the hair. I can preserve some of the hairline. And then once I got my guideline in the way I want, notice how I'm putting it in with the trimmer facing down. That's going to cut less hair. I'm going to come back up with the trimmer. That's going to take more hair. I'll move around to about the occipital bone. I call this phase 1. This is just removing bulk and setting in the skin line. We're going to use the electric shaver in this step also, and then we'll move to the next phase. I'm going to check them in the mirror real quick. Looks like somehow I actually did that perfect first try. Usually I got a little bit of adjusting to do on the sides, but in this case it came out pretty good. So I'm gonna use my fingers real quick and I'm gonna just see like how high did I go on this side and this side. It looks like this side is just a tiny bit lower, so I'm gonna bring that just a touch higher, not much. I'm talking about like not even a centimeter. I really like to get this as close to accurate as I can before I start the rest of my process. This is the foundation of your haircut. Like if you take your time here, you'll save your time elsewhere. My goal here is to get really close to this line and flick up and out. And hopefully I don't have much of a line in between my trimmer and my electric shaver. If I do, I got some ways that I can get it out. I can come down with it a little bit. I can tap into it and I can kind of flick up and reduce pressure. You can then use just one side of the blade to kind of finesse that in there. You want to get really close. The rest of the stuff underneath, you can just push it hard and get rid of all of it. I'll use my Uno. It's much smaller, a lot more accurate, and I don't want to make any mistakes around here because there's not a lot of room here. So I'm going to just use the tool that makes the most sense. I'm going to do the same thing. And this is just a cool little secret weapon that I use a lot when I get to the end of my blend. If I just can't get a line out, a lot of times I pick this up and I just kind of flick into it and it works really easy. Okay, you guys, so you are here. This is kind of the complete phase 1. We've put our skin line in, we've done our electric shaver, and we're gonna move into phase 2, which is actually clipper over comb. But before I do that, I'm gonna take a minute and I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna dry it into the shape that I want. That's gonna help me with my fade. It's also gonna help me know what to cut. So now we're gonna do phase 2, which is clipper over comb. Right now, I'm just gonna kind of set in some of the shape that I want, and I'm gonna begin part of the blend. So all I'm really trying to do is make sure that the silhouette on my blend looks good, and I can use the mirror and I can see like how far it's sticking out on both sides. My goal is to try to build a nice connection into the top. I've already cut the top, so I know where I'm starting from and where I'm going to. I promised I'd move slow and I started moving fast. So you can't really tell what you're doing every single cut. My best advice would be cut, comb, look, cut, comb, look. So it's kind of like a roll reset. I'm rolling out, cut, reset, comb it down. Once you take the hair off, you can't put it back on. So even though I'm moving fast, I'm really only taking a tiny bit at a time each time I do this. Really like these Zuka combs. They're really skinny and very flexible. You guys can check them out in the link in the description. Usually I'm using a Zuka neck guard, but I didn't have time to clean one because I didn't know I was filming here. But the neck guards are great for keeping the clients clean too. So typically we would move into phase 3, which would be cutting the top, but because I really wanted to pay attention to how this top was laying, I already did that. So we're gonna move to phase 4, we're gonna start the blend. Okay, so I'm gonna begin the blend with the clipper in the open position. I have a fade blade and I have a Rogue. This is one of the least expensive clipper combo you can buy and the most effective. So I'm gonna put a guideline in about the width of my finger. As I tip this clipper out, it's gonna leave the hair longer, and as I angle it back down towards the head, it's gonna cut closer. So I'm gonna begin with it tipped out a little bit. I put in sort of like a preliminary guideline, and I'm gonna begin working it down. I'm using angles, and I'm manipulating the clipper to take advantage of the fact that I don't wanna make any mistakes, so I wanna use every little advantage I got with the clipper. Now I'm gonna angle it down lower, so they actually hit the length that I wanna hit. I typically like to do this step all the way around the head. And since I got a good cameraman with me, Chad, I'm gonna continue this step all the way around the head, staying about the width of a finger. Tipping it out, so I'm just using the top. It looks kind of like this. I'm doing this at first, and little by little, I'm bringing the butt end of the clipper closer to his head where it's gonna cut the closest. I have to get it flat at a certain point though. Perfect. Follow the same step. I can see the grains moving this way. I'm gonna try to make sure I go against that grain. And that's what's nice about using this little teeth step is I can kind of see what effect that has. If it does too much or more than I expected, I could get ahead of it before it becomes a problem. If it's not cutting enough, then I'll just start angling the clipper back down. You guys already know this haircut's gonna come out perfect, right? Like no question about it. And notice how effective that is in already reducing the line in some areas. And that's because everybody's hair kind of varies in density. So there's obviously a little less hair there. All right, next step, I'm not gonna worry about the bottom right now. I'm gonna jump up a step. I'm actually gonna go to the 1.5 and I'm gonna go 2 clicks, 1, 2. I'm just gonna see what effect that has. Now I'm just using a few of the teeth. I'm gonna use like 3 of the teeth, see what effect that has on that upper line. I skipped the 1, I skipped the half. My goal is to build a good, strong connection into the top, maintaining all this dark hair around the parietal ridge. I didn't move the clipper yet. I'm gonna move it a little bit now. I've been just kind of bouncing it on angles and messing with it a little bit. All right, you guys, next step, I'm gonna take the 1, I'm gonna open it just 2 clicks, and I'm gonna do the same thing, just a little bit lower than where I went with the 1 1/2. I like to start with 2 clicks to see if that fixes my problems, and you can feel free to move the lever open and close as you need it. I'll go to the half guard now. We're gonna start working out this bottom line. I just wanna see if the half guard does anything like above it.
The tight half guard?
Yeah, that's right. These are the new tight half guards from Gamma. That's why they're blue. All right, let's work on this final bottom line here. So what I'm gonna do now, first I'm gonna go with it all the way open. It's gonna kind of chip into it with a couple of teeth. Kind of gives me an idea of like how much room I got to work with it. And we're gonna begin, go ahead, I'll close it down all the way and I'm gonna open it 2 clicks. I got this clipper all the way closed. We'll go 1-2 clicks up and we're just gonna kind of use the corner to get in there. This is really one of the strong suits of one of the Ergo clippers or something like this Rogue, where like the blending is very forgiving. It's very easy to do. I could see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm gonna just click it open a little bit at a time, maybe close it a little bit in some spots. But my goal is always to be careful, always to be cautious and not make a mistake. So if I'm not sure, like if I'm working in a little area and I'm not sure, like I'll try the step above that and see if that does it. Then I can always close it down a little bit lower. If you notice, this clipper really didn't have any trouble getting out that faint skin line from the trimmer. Now, as I work out these final details, I'm going to break down a couple extra things. But before I do that, I just want to shout out the sponsor of today's video. That's Booked In. Booked In is my scheduling app. I've been rock solid with them for over 3 years. I really like them. They're nice people. And right now, they're offering you guys a deal, 50% off your first 3 months. So just head over to bookedin.com/Eddie and redeem your offer today. You will see the link down below. I start to kind of fight with these different spots in the haircuts. You got tiny little areas that we need to address here. Now, if my clipper that is 0 gap does not get this out, if my trimmer that is set back, which is one of 2 trimmers, I keep one trimmer that is not fully 0 gapped, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use that. And then it's kind of like the final boss at the end of a video game. I will actually pull out my handy dandy little Uno, and the Uno 2.0 is the one I have now. This video was actually filmed a long time ago. It was just sitting on my hard drive and I was like, this is a fire cut, man. I should do a voiceover and I should share this with the world. So, as you see, when I grab the Uno, I'm just gonna take it, I'm gonna start tapping down with the grain, and that was actually the move that got this haircut where I needed it to be. So, sometimes it's a combination, but having all the different tools set up properly are really gonna help you. Now, I know that this question is gonna come up. You guys are gonna say, where do I buy that clipper, or what clipper should I get, or if I'm brand new? I'm gonna tell you guys right now, if you're brand new to this, getting a Rogue with a magnetic motor, it's basically an Ergo, but it's a little cheaper. The Ergos, the Rogues by themselves are currently sold out. They were like $99. They're really hard to come by. If you find one, buy it. But you can still buy them in the combo and get an excellent trimmer for about $200. So I think that's a pretty damn good deal. And it gives you the Gold X Pro blade. That's the blade that's on all the top performing trimmers for Stylecraft. So with that being said, check out the final result. Really appreciate you for jumping into this video. Smash subscribe if you're not already. Smash the thumbs up. Help me out. Drop a comment if you want to see something different. Let me know, and I will catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. YouTube Barber Academy, over 900 videos to help you learn. I hope you become a subscriber.